Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator 66. Tell me if you have something, or I won't have time to chat with you. Levi said with his arms crossed. Okay then, Bobby said a little embarrassedly. I heard that you initiated this competition. I don't know how much the top 3 prizes are. So you want to know this? Levi's couldn't help raising his eyebrows. It wasn't just Poppy who wanted to know, everyone in the classroom wanted to know, including Clarice and Naughty. Since everyone wants to know so much, then I'll tell you all. The third place will add 10,000 United States dollars, the second place will add 20,000, and the first place will add 30,000, and... Having said that, Levi's paused. The people in the classroom couldn't help swallowing when they heard this. The reward was too generous. What is the salary of the average person these days? I am afraid that it is impossible to drop 10,000 United States dollars in a year. After all, there are expenses such as food and drink. This 10,000 USD can be said to be what the average person can leave after a year of work. Not to mention that the first place has increased by 30,000, and if all add up, it will be 40,000 United States dollars, which is a lot of money. Everyone in the classroom did not speak, waiting for his next words. Levi's looked at the crowd, and then smiled, and the top 3 have a chance to join the X-Men. This time, the students in the classroom burst into cheers. You must know that X-Men is the most wanted by these students, no one. Usually they don't miss the appearance of X-Men wearing cool combat uniforms and driving stealth high-tech fighter jets. Almost every student dreams of joining the X-Men. Okay, let me be quiet. At this point Storm walked into the classroom. Weiss, can I go back to your seat? Definitely. Levi's shrugged and sat down beside Polaris. Weiss, is there really that much prize money for the first place in the competition? The little Naughty on the other side asked curiously. Definitely. Then can I participate? Polaris looked eager to try. If you participate, the first place is not reserved. Levi's mouth twitched slightly. Polaris is a level 3 mutant, and even among the level 3 mutants, it belongs to a relatively strong category. Let her participate in this competition, wouldn't that be quack killing? After all, most of the students in the school have awakening ability not long ago, and most of the strengths that can be exerted are only the level of second-level mutants. Alright then, Polaris shrugged nonchalantly, she wasn't short of money anyway. I don't know if I can participate. Little Naughty also looked eager to try, and it seemed that she still cared about the reward for the first place. Well, it should be possible. Levi's nodded. Although the Naughty ability is very dangerous, as long as it is controlled properly, it will be fine not to suck others up in one breath. If you just absorb the opponent's super ability energy, you can easily subdue the opponent. How is it? Clarice, do you want to participate? Polaris, who was on the side, asked Clarice without speaking. Me, forget it, my ability is too dangerous. Clarice shook her head, her teleportation ability was very unstable and couldn't be used for a game at all. But besides teleporting ability, she had no other means of attack, so she gave up decisively. Well, I didn't think of that, Levi said, rubbing his chin. Mutants have different abilities, some have no attack power at all, and some are very dangerous. If it is used to deal with the enemy, it is okay to be dangerous, but if it is used for competition, it is not suitable. Clarice, maybe you should learn some close-up fighting techniques, Levi suggested. Yes, I agree. Teleport ability plus close combat, if you unexpectedly appear behind the enemy, you can easily subdue the opponent. Shadowcat said in agreement. Clarice's eyes lit up when she heard their words, this is indeed an effective way to improve. Thanks, I will learn the fighting technique. Hee, you're welcome. Levi smiled and waved his hand. Cough, Weiss, can you be quiet? Storm, who was lecturing on the stage, reminded him with a dry cough. Although Levi's is the leader of their X-Men in private, he is still a student in the classroom. Okay, Mr. Orlo. Levi's immediately sat up like a good baby when he heard the words. This made Polaris and the others next to them couldn't help but laugh a little. Storm lectured on stage on how to control ability and how to develop ability. Levi's in the audience heard drowsiness. Yet at this time, there was a buzzing sound around him, and Levi's only felt an unprecedented huge mental force surrounding him, making him annoyed. All the students in the classroom covered their ears in pain, and many students even fainted. Even Storm couldn't help covering his head. American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator 67. Chapter 67 Thrilling. Phoenix Force Runaway. What the hell happened? Levi stood up suddenly, frowning and sensing the source of this enormous spiritual power. Next door is another classroom, and the teacher in class is Jean Grey. Thinking of this, his expression changed drastically and he quickly rushed out of the classroom. To the next classroom. Sure enough, Jean Grey fell to the ground in pain for a year. And all the students in the classroom fainted. In Levi's eyes, Jean Grey from at the moment radiated a lot of red energy and wrapped her around her. This energy is like a natural king, and anyone who looks at it will be stunned. Levi's appearance was like a provocation, and then all the red energy rushed towards Levi's. Oops, the Phoenix Force is gone. Levi's looked at these red energies with a solemn expression. He didn't expect that Jean Grey would actually explode the Phoenix Force at this time. I saw that the surging red energy gradually formed a phoenix form, and the violent energy seemed to destroy everything. Go back to me. Levi's threw a punch with vector manipulation in full force. With a whimper, the phoenix formed by the Phoenix Force was broken up by this punch. Immediately afterwards, he quickly came to Jean Grey and held her chest, trying to use the vector operation to control the Phoenix Force back into her body. At this time, Polaris, Storm, Cyclops and others all rushed towards this direction. The crowd didn't bother him when they saw Levi's. After a long time, Levi's breathed a sigh of relief, and then sat down on the ground. Wes, how's it going? Jean Cyclops rushed to his side and said. Don't worry, that force is temporarily suppressed. Levi's was gasping for breath, and now he still has some lingering fears. The Phoenix Force is really too terrifying. The vast red energy is as shocking as the starry sky. Fortunately, the Phoenix Force only ran wild a little, otherwise, he would definitely not be able to suppress it. You must know that Phoenix Force is the embodiment of the life force and emotional force of the original universe. It's the most feared force in the Marvel multi-universe. Every universe in the Marvel universe is different. But Phoenix Force is something that cannot be changed in the multi-universe. It is as powerful as a god no matter which universe it is in. It is said that Jean Grey is a 5th-level mutant, but this is not true. Jean Grey was originally just a level 3 mutant with telepathy. Phoenix Force made her so powerful that people thought she was a level 5 mutant. But if he really controls the Phoenix Force, it will be far more than a 5th-level mutant. He will become the true god of the Marvel Universe. The only one that can compete with it is Scarlet Witch's origin magic power. Weiss, are you alright? Polaris and Shadowcat hurried over and asked. It's okay, it's just that the consumption is a little big. Levi smiled and shook his head, then stood up with the help of the two of them. How are you, Jean? Cyclops kept calling out to Jean Grey. Chin slowly woke up. She opened her eyes to look at everyone, and then looked at the fainted students in the classroom. What did I just do? Chin's heart was broken. She actually used ability to hurt the students. Jin, you finally woke up. Cyclops hugged her happily. Jin, it's not your fault, don't blame yourself, Storm comforted. Teacher Chin, what happened before? Levi's asked with a frown. For this Phoenix Force awakening, he was not prepared at all. After all, in the original work, it was Jean Grey who forcibly used the brainwave intensifier to bring out Phoenix Force. But the last time was the brainwave intensifier used by Levi's. It stands to reason that there is no reason for Jean Grey to suddenly awakening Phoenix Force. Jean Grey recalled hard. I saw John playing with fire, so I stopped him, and then I can't remember. Levi's frowned after hearing this, and has determined that it was because of John's play with fire that the Phoenix Force went berserk. After all, what a noble existence Phoenix Force is. Someone playing with fire in front of it is simply a provocation. Okay, Mr. Scott, let's take Mr. Chin back to rest. Cyclops nodded, then left with the piano. Wes, what the hell is going on? Polaris on the side couldn't hold back the doubts in his heart. Levi sighed and explained. Mr. Chin has a Phoenix Force in her body, which is equivalent to a 5th-level mutant, but she can't control the power in her body. This time, it's probably because of John's flame that it burst out. Level 5 mutant. When Polaris heard his words, she was a little shocked. She was the strongest mutant at the moment, and she was only a level 4 mutant. such as her father Magneto, Professor X and Levi's. But I didn't expect that the Academy still has the existence of the 5th level mutant. American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator 68. American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator. Chapter 68 Energy Absorption, The Power of the Phoenix. Mr. Storm, don't let Teacher Chin come here to teach in the future. Levi's looked at Storm and said. Understood, I will teach her in another class. Storm also knew that this class couldn't let Chin come to the class. If she sees John's flames again and goes berserk, I'm afraid no one can stop her. Son, you handled it very well. At this time, Professor X came to the classroom in a wheelchair, and he looked at Levi's admiringly. Just now, he also discovered the sign of the outbreak of the power of the Phoenix in the piano for the first time, but he did not appear, but wanted to see how Levi's would deal with it. It can be said that Levi's handled it perfectly, so that he could not pick out the slightest fault. If it were him, he wouldn't necessarily be able to suppress the power of the Phoenix. Professor. Storm came to Professor X's side. Yeah, Wes, come with me. Professor X turned and left the classroom after pushing the wheelchair. Seeing this, Levi's was a little puzzled, and didn't understand what Professor X was going to say to him. Mr. Orlo, please send the students who fainted in the classroom to the infirmary first, and I'll come when I go. Okay, Storm nodded. Leave the classroom. Levi's came behind Professor X in the corridor and pushed the wheelchair actively. Seeing this, Professor X smiled and said, Wes, what do you think about this matter? 55. Professor is talking about Teacher Chin. Yes, since the extra energy in the body of the piano, it has become very unstable, and it may even threaten everything around it at any time. If it was you, how would you deal with it? Levi's frowned when he heard Professor X's words, and after thinking about it, he suddenly had a very bold idea. Maybe I have a way to make the power in Teacher Chin disappear. Oh, Professor X looked back at him in surprise. Seeing this, Levi's explained, I have a special super ability, which is similar to the naughty energy absorbing. If I can suck out the power of the Phoenix from Teacher Chin's body, I should be able to solve this problem completely for Teacher Chin. Hidden Danger. 39. His energy absorption can absorb any energy, so the Phoenix Force should also be able to do it. He might even be able to control the power of the Phoenix in one fell swoop. However, Professor X shook his head. No. This is just transferring the threat to your body. Professor, maybe I can control this power. Levi's defended. Weiss, you can't ruin yourself for Jin. Professor X was decidedly different from what he did. Okay then, Levi's shrugged. In fact, even if Professor X agreed now, he wouldn't do it, at least until he became a 5th level mutant. Otherwise, he is completely unsure of suppressing the power of the Phoenix. Speaking of which, the last time he checked in with Jean Grey, he only gave double the experience points, which always made him a little strange. But now that I think about it, Chin has not awakened to the power of the Phoenix, so it is no wonder that she did not sign in to obtain the power of the Phoenix. But now he also has a way to gain the power of the Phoenix. Phoenix power. Origin magic power. I don't know how strong these two strongest forces in the Marvel Universe appear at the same time. Levi's was looking forward to it. Time passed slowly. It has been a week since the last time Chin broke out the power of the Phoenix. Levi's resigned to Wanda several times, but failed each time. This made him a little speechless. He was so OU before, is he going to become African now? However, he guessed that it is also possible that Wanda's origin magic power is too powerful, which leads to frequent check-in failures. Maybe he should still be promoted to level 5 mutant first, and then hit the idea of origin magic power. He checked the system panel and found that he was still not far from becoming a 5th level mutant. Open black lens bracket host. Levi's close black lens bracket. Super ability. Vector operation, space movement, frozen control, flame control, energy absorption, electromagnetic force, evolution, telepathy, super infrasound, space reversal, atomic collapse, stealth, molecular manipulation, dragon incarnation, super brain. Super ability level. LV.4, 4th level mutant. Open black lens bracket experience value. 10,000 6,700 close black lens bracket. If it goes well, it may be possible to upgrade in less than a month. 99 Levi's nodded with satisfaction. Then he checked into Colossus not far away. Open black lens bracket ding. Did the host check into the mutant Colossus? Close black lens bracket. Yes. Ding. Sign in is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the super ability, Ionization, with 100 experience points. Close black lens bracket. It really is steel. This ability doesn't seem to have any effect on me. Even if he doesn't need to iron his body, nothing can hurt him. Moreover, his current physical strength is due to the existence of the super ability of evolution, which can be said to be no weaker than steel. It was also during Levi's daily class. In the White House in Washington District. A figure like a ghost broke through many obstacles and came to the president's office. More than a dozen bodyguards in black suits protect the top leaders of the Cho Kingdom, but this has no effect on the ghostly mutants. In just a moment, all the bodyguards were knocked to the ground. The phantom-like figure was riding on the president, and the bodyguards in the room also clearly saw the phantom. It was a mutant with blue skin, with a tail behind him, and he was rolling a dagger into the hands of the mutants. Seeing that his president was about to die at the hands of mutants, one of the bodyguards hurriedly shot. Boom. After a shot was fired, it was a little surprising that the ghostly male blue-skinned mutant was actually shot. The mutant who was hit disappeared instantly, leaving only a dagger stuck on the table beside the supreme leader. The assassination of the country's top leader by mutants was no small matter, and soon various agencies began to investigate. At the same time, an old man with glasses came to the presidential office. Mr. President, I have to say that your luck is really good, it's just a little bit worse. The man teased at the hole on the table that was pierced by the dagger. What are you here for? The president ignored his ridicule, calmly picked up the wine on the side and poured himself a glass. I need your authorization to approve a special operation. 39. I thought you were here to talk to me about education reform. The president shrugged and joked back. Mr. President, you are so funny. Just as the two were talking, another man in a suit walked in at the door. Mr. President, here I come. 99. Member Kelly, you are welcome. The president finally showed a smile when he saw the person who came. After experiencing the assassination of the mutants, he also paid attention to the issue of the mutants bill. That's why Congressman Kelly was brought in. But the real Senator Kelly has long since died because of Magneto's machine, and the current Senator Kelly is just Mystique pretending to be. The identity of Senator Kelly is very important to the Mutant Brotherhood, and Mystique usually pretends to be Senator Kelly to attend various meetings. So no one found out that the real Congressman Kelly had died. This is Colonel William Stryker. The president introduced Congressman Kelly. Hello. Senator Kelly offered to shake hands with Colonel Stryker. Colonel Stryker's department set out to deal with mutants, and it has been traced back to my predecessor in this position. The president continued his introduction, but was interrupted by Colonel Stryker. Colonel Stryker looked at Senator Kelly and asked sharply, Remember, Senator Kelly, you strongly supported the Mutant Registration Act some time ago, but you seem to have changed your attitude recently. 99. Senator Kelly was stunned for a moment when he heard the question, but he soon smiled. I'm just doing what's good for the country. The answer was vague, but Colonel Stryker didn't pay much attention to it. He took out some documents and put them on the table. Here's some information we've gathered that says there's a school for mutants in upstate New York. The president and Congressman Kelly took the documents and looked at them, all of which were pictures of some school buildings, which looked a little blurry. Where did you get this information? The president asked. We interrogated the Liberty Island incident, a mutant terrorist. You're talking about Eric. Did you interrogate him? Congressman Kelly, who was transformed from Mystique, said subconsciously. Colonel Stryker nodded. Yes, it's Magneto. Speaking of his plastic prison, we used high technology to cast it. When Mystique heard this, she secretly thought that Eric was in a bad situation, and he had to be rescued. These photos look like school. Mystique then picked up the photo she was sitting on. Yes, it is indeed a school, but they also have planes that can take off from the basketball court. Colonel Stryker introduced. Hearing this, the president fell silent, and Mystique was shocked when she heard the plane taking off from the basketball court, and she looked at the photo carefully. Isn't this Professor X's Mutant Academy? Thinking of this, she looked at Colonel Stryker with the same expression, compared to Senator Kelly, who only knew how to clamor for being put into prison by mutants. The current Colonel Stryker is much more sinister. If he succeeds, the entire Mutant Academy will be destroyed. This is definitely not what Mystique wants to see. Mr. President, I think we should do something. 35 Colonel Stryker said, looking at the president. Hearing this, the president did not rush to answer, but frowned and thought. He finally understood why Stryker would take the initiative to come to the door. After all, he did not invite Stryker today. Imagine how much New York people would be shocked if the army raided a school in New York for no reason. It's almost as loud as hating in the Hulk fight on the streets of New York. The military never goes through his president, and it is self-evident that Stryker came to him, obviously to make him resist this crime. It's fine if this is really a mutant academy, but if the intelligence is wrong, then he is probably the president. The president stood up and kept walking, struggling inside. On the one hand, he was attacked by mutants and almost lost his life, and he couldn't be indifferent to mutants for the sake of face. On the other hand, there is the risk of losing the position. And he had to take this charge. After all, there is a mutant training organization in New York, and this organization has this high-end weapon, but he, as the president, has no knowledge of it. He is also at risk of losing his position if things get out. Thinking of this, the president is very resentful of mutants for no reason. Okay, Stryker, listen to me. After thinking for a long time, the president turned around firmly and said, you can break into the academy to search, arrest, and interrogate people, but I don't want the bodies of mutant children in the news. In the face of the president's warning, Colonel Stryker didn't care, but instead showed a successful conspiracy smile. At the same time, in the Mutant Academy, Levi's received a message from Mystique. Inside the combat conference room. I think this attack was ordered by Magneto, and there was no one else but him. Knowing that there were mutants attacking the president, Cyclops' first thought was that Magneto did it. No, Scott, I don't think so. Jean Grey objected. You are wrong, Mr. Scott. Levi said. Although Magneto has the ability to instruct this matter, but he will not do it, because it is unreasonable. Magneto will not make damage variance people's interests. Storm on the side nodded, she very much agreed with Levi's words. But even if it wasn't done by Magneto, this thing has a great impact on mutants. Who knows if there will be 5 or 6 people who support the mutant registration bill. Maybe worse, maybe the president will order the arrest of all mutants in New York. Polaris frowned. Your worries are not unreasonable, but don't worry, I already have a plan. Levi said with a smile. What's the plan? Polaris' eyes lit up when he saw his confident look. In fact, after learning that mutants attacked the president, Levi's understood what was going on. The so-called mutant attacking the president was just directed and acted by Colonel Stryker, and its purpose was to intensify the conflict between the president and the mutant Zhao's race. Stryker's son is also a mutant, but his wife committed suicide because of her son's mutant ability. So Stryker hates mutants very much, so he even experimented on his own son, transforming him into a mutant number 143. Using his son Jason's master illusion ability, he can manipulate others. In the original, even Magneto was hit. Stryker's purpose is to use his son Jason's ability to control Professor X, so as to exterminate mutants in the world. The idea is good, but still too naive. Thinking of this, Levi's had a playful smile on his face. What should he do with this guy who wants to destroy all mutants? Directly use space to move to assassinate. This seems to be too cheap for him. And the president also participated in this matter. Since the president does not want to see negative news in the newspapers, he must not be allowed to do so. My plan is to first find the mutant who assassinated the president and bring the mutant back. Levi spoke of the first steps in his plan. The task of bringing the mutants back will be handed over to Mrs. Orlo and Mr. Scott. 99. No problem. Storm and Cyclops nodded at the same time. What about us? Polaris and Jean Grey asked suspiciously. You haven't arranged yet, take care of the students. Levi's laughed. Okay then. The two nodded. At this moment, the door of the battle meeting room was opened. Hey, I didn't expect the professor to abdicate shortly after I left. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Seeing the person coming, everyone smiled. Welcome back, Logan. Storm was the first to get up to welcome. Welcome back to the team. Cyclops and Chin also welcomed with a smile. Welcome back, Uncle Logan. Levi's was also very happy to see Wolverine back. American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator 69. American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator. Chapter 69 Wolverine's Return and Wolverine Questioning. Wolverine left the academy not long ago in search of her memory, and now she is finally back. Hey, boy, I don't remember where you were able to sit. After Logan found a seat and sat down, he looked closely at Levi's. Logan, this is the professor's decision, and Wes also has the ability to lead us, Storm explained. Do you think so too? Logan looked back at Jean and Cyclops. Jean nodded and said, we have all seen the changes Wes has made to the academy during this time, and I think he will definitely be able to make the Mutant Academy better. Hearing Jean Grey say that, Logan turned his eyes to Cyclops again. Cyclops shrugged, I don't have a problem with Wes as the leader of the X-Men. Seeing that Cyclops said so, Logan had no choice but to give up. Although he felt a little weird about a student being the leader of the X-Men, since everyone had no opinion, he also had no problem. But if Levi's didn't do well, he wouldn't listen. Uncle Logan, since you've come back, let's come together. 35 Levi's smiled and didn't care about Logan's doubts. Saying that, he left the combat conference room. When everyone saw this, they all followed. A group of people came to the brainwave strengthening room. Wait here now, if I use a brainwave intensifier to find the mutant who assassinated the president. Levi said and entered the brainwave strengthening room. Wait, Logan yelled and followed. The door of the brainwave strengthening room also closed 487 at this time. What are you doing here, Uncle Logan? Levi's looked at Wolverine behind him strangely. I went to that place this time, but didn't find any memory, I think. Wolverine said here, and Levi's already knew what he was going to say. Uncle Logan, don't you understand why the professor didn't tell you, but let you find it yourself? Levi's asked rhetorically. Wolverine looked complicated. Uncle Logan, sometimes knowing the past is not a good thing. Wolverine's past Levi's is definitely very clear, but because it's very clear, he won't tell Wolverine. Because Wolverine's past was too bleak, and he lived so many years older than Professor X's age. Without a goal, I'm afraid Wolverine would have suicidal thoughts. That's one of the reasons Professor X didn't tell Wolverine. Wolverine suddenly became silent when she heard his words. Although she didn't know her past, she knew from his words that she was afraid that her past was not good. Uncle Logan, if you really want to understand the past, or even change the past, maybe I have a way. How? Wolverine looked up suddenly. I can take you back in time. Then let me go back now. Wolverine grabbed his shoulder excitedly. Don't be excited, Uncle Logan. I can let you go back in time, let you see what you've been through with your own eyes, and even let you change the future. 99. But you have to wait a while. 99. Levi's thought about it and decided to help Wolverine change the tragic past. After all, Wolverine is also a character he likes very much. Now that a living person is in front of him, and he also has this ability, then he definitely doesn't mind helping. Thanks. Although this remark made Logan feel a little weird, the wolf's intuition made him understand that Levi's was not lying. Okay, Uncle Logan, just wait by the side, I'm going to use the brainwave intensifier. After speaking, Levi's put on the helmet of the brainwave booster. In an instant, an extremely powerful telepathy enveloped the whole world. Amazingly, some red and white illusory figures appeared in the whole room. Logan looked at these figures with some confusion. This is the world of telepathy, the white ones are ordinary humans, and the red ones are mutants. Feeling Logan's thoughts, Levi's explained lightly. Look, Uncle Logan, we're not alone, and I'll even build a city full of mutants in the future. Logan was shocked when he heard this. He didn't expect that the guy in front of him, who was still a kid in his eyes, would have such ambitions. Even he was a little excited at the thought of a future city of mutants. Found it. At this moment, a small smile appeared at the corner of Levi's mouth, and then he opened his eyes. Come on, Uncle Logan. The two left the brainwave intensifier. What? Cyclops asked. Don't worry, I've found it. Levi said and tapped his finger in the air, and the next moment a map fell into his hand. Follow the map to find him. 55. Okay, CCEB, let's go now. Cyclops took the map and set off with Storm. Weiss, they all have missions, what about me? Asked Wolverine on the side. Levi shrugged and said, not yet, why don't you go and play with those students? After everything was arranged, he was also ready to leave. On the sky carrier, in the SHIELD director's office, Nick Fury is working on the file. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the office. Hey, Chief, Levi's greeted Roar with a smile, and then sat down on the chair beside him. The sudden voice surprised Nick Fury, but he was still the head of the agent, and his expression didn't change. Mr. Weiss, can you go through the main entrance next time? 55. I try my best. Levi's smiled indifferently. Tell me, what are you doing here with me? Nick Fury didn't want to continue to struggle with this question. Hearing this, Levi's raised his eyebrows. The president was assassinated, isn't anyone looking for trouble for you? 35. SHIELD's recent dealings with mutants is not so secretive, and if you want to come, you can find out. So he didn't believe that after the president was assassinated by mutants, SHIELD, who had contacts with mutants, would be fine. Nick Fury nodded admiringly when he heard his words. You guessed it. Someone did point out evidence of my recent close association with mutants in front of the president. 5. Then you are still so calm. Levi's looked at him in surprise. Should he say that this is the mentality of being a top agent? Calm down. I'll calm down with a hammer. Mom fake, if you let me know that this bastard did this, I'll blow his head off with my own hands. Nick Fury's sudden tantrum surprised Levi's. It seems that the head of the agent is not as good as he imagined. Maybe he was miserable. I do know the mastermind behind this time. Who is it? Magneto's mutant brotherhood. No, Magneto wouldn't do such an irrational thing. 39. Levi's shook his head. 2. Nick Fury still agrees with him. Because he has studied Magneto, although Magneto will do anything for the purpose, he will not do anything that is detrimental to the mutants. This assassination was just directed and acted by Colonel Stryker. It's him. Why would he do this? Nick Fury had no doubts about his words, since he had intelligence himself. If it's really not what Magneto did, then it's most likely what he said. Why are there still few people in the ugly nation who want to exterminate mutants? Okay, so what are you going to do? I got information that Colonel Stryker is preparing to conduct a military operation against the Mutant Academy. Nick Fury shared what he just got. Levi snorted disdainfully. I heard that Mr. President doesn't want to see the body of a child in tomorrow's newspaper, and that a group of terrorists attacked a school, but was killed on the spot by the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hearing this, Nick Fury instantly understood his plan. I think tomorrow's paper will be very exciting. The two smiled at each other. American Comics. Opening sign in Accelerator 70. Chapter 70. Team up with the President to rescue Magneto. Night falls. Near the Mutant Academy, Phil Coulson has been ambushed here with dozens of agents. Wes, we can deal with the military people ourselves, why should we ask the people from S.H.I.E.L.D. to help? Polaris asked with some doubts. Levi's couldn't help chuckling when he heard her words. It is absolutely fine to deal with the military with our ability, but once we kill the military, we will never have peace. After they are expected to kill the military will never, stop there. Once mutants and humans go to war, it's a never-ending situation. Maybe Levi's has the ability to kill all mankind, but he would never do that. It's a different story with S.H.I.E.L.D. to take out the military guys. S.H.I.E.L.D. can find a reason, like there are terrorists attacking the school. At that time, let people forge the scene of the attack on the academy and the corpses of children all over the floor. I think the president would be pissed when he got this news. So that's what happened. Polaris nodded in understanding. Where's Wes? At this moment, Shadowcat and the little Naughty and the others came to him and asked. You guys, go and pretend to be Deadman later. Levi's rubbed his chin and said, the worse the death, the better. Shadowcat and little Naughty looked at each other when they heard his words. What about us? At this time, Chin and Logan on the other side came over, and the two were very close to each other and looked a little ambiguous. Cyclops had always been very wary of Logan before, but this time after Cyclops was sent out on a mission, Jean and Logan had time to spend alone. It's no surprise that something will happen to the two of them. Seeing this, Levi's could only apologize to Cyclops in his heart. He really didn't mean to let Chin and Logan get along alone. Just considering that Chin had just exploded with the power of the Phoenix, if she was stimulated outside and ran wild, I'm afraid no one would be able to stop her. That's why I didn't let Chin go out on a mission. But I also have to say that Westerners' feelings are too lustful. Chin is Cyclops' girlfriend for many years. Is it really okay to flirt with Logan again? Definitely, he will not say these words, and he has no interest in paying attention to the love triangle between the three. Uncle Logan, you and Teacher Chin will arrange to do makeup for the students. To make tomorrow's newspaper appear the scene of the school being attacked and the corpses of children all over the floor, it still needs the cooperation of these students. Okay then. Logan and Jin nodded, then turned and left to prepare for the kids' makeup. In fact, Phil Coulson has arranged for professional makeup artists to help in this regard, and they only need to appease the children. Come on. 35. At this time, Levi's looked at the night sky. The dark environment did not affect his vision. Even at night he could clearly see objects thousands of meters away. This is the strengthening that evolution brings to the body. Thunderbird is like this, and his evolution is obviously stronger. Hearing his words, everyone followed his gaze. After a while, several armed helicopters appeared in the sky and flew towards them. At least an armed team of hundreds of people. Phil Coulson's eyes became dignified. This time their shield only dispatched hundreds of agents, and the number of the two sides was similar. But the military's weapons and equipment are obviously better than their shield. If the two sides fight, I am afraid it will be a lose-lose ending. Don't worry, I will help at that time, and make sure that none of your shield agents will lose. 35. Levi's promised. That's good. Phil Coulson finally breathed a sigh of relief when he got this promise. Several armed helicopters finally stopped in the open space outside the academy. Obviously, the military people did not want to be alarmed. Immediately afterwards, soldiers gathered in the open space in an orderly manner from the helicopter. Phil Coulson, do it. After Levi's finished speaking, his eyes flashed, and the next moment all the military soldiers here were controlled. Next, you only need to control these people to cooperate in a play. Phil Coulson waved to the agents behind him after hearing this, and then the agents attacked without hesitation. For a while, gunshots rang out. From outside the academy to inside the academy, the whole academy is filled with the smell of gunpowder. Levi's watched with satisfaction, all plans under his control. Beside him, a controlled newspaper reporter has recorded all this. Weiss, what should we do next? At this moment, Jean and Logan came over. Levi's folded his arms and smiled. Let the children wash up and go to bed early. Classes will continue as usual tomorrow. Chin and Logan immediately looked at each other when they heard the words. Tonight's plan was very successful, but the only thing that puzzled him was that Colonel Stryker didn't come. But it doesn't matter, this can only make him live a few more days temporarily. At this time Phil Coulson came over and said, Mr. Weiss, I have to say that you have a very good plan. I think. The president will definitely know about tomorrow's report. It will definitely explode with anger. Ha ha ha. Levi's took his words and laughed. Phil Coulson couldn't help laughing at this. Then it's up to you to handle the shield. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot seeking flowers katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. Don't worry, we'll take care of what's next. Phil Coulson nodded. This matter can be regarded as tying shield with the Mutant Academy, so their shield must deal with this matter well. Wait until Phil Coulson cleans the field and leaves. Levi's took out the phone and called Mystique. Mystique had previously planned to rescue Magneto after telling him the military was going to attack the Mutant Academy. I don't know if it is successful now. He just remembered that it seemed that Colonel Stryker had arranged a trap in the prison. If Mystique isn't careful, there's a good chance she'll be ambushed. Doodle tilde operator tilde operator. The phone went unanswered for a long time, and Levi frowned. What's wrong? Polaris asked involuntarily when he saw his frown. Mystique's phone went unanswered. It looks like something is wrong. You mean Magneto? Polaris couldn't help but look worried. Yes, it seems that Magneto's prison has already been controlled by Stryker, and Mystique has probably fallen into the hands of Colonel Stryker, Levi's explained. Weiss, I want to ask you something. At this time, Professor X came out in a wheelchair. Professor, please speak. Although my old friend is a bit unscrupulous, he is also thinking of mutants. I want to ask you to save him. Professor X asked with a serious face. Definitely no problem. Levi's agreed without hesitation. What did he think it was? Even if Professor X didn't say it, he would have rescued Magneto. After all, Magneto is not only the leader of the Mutant Brotherhood, but also the father of Polaris, and he can't just stand by. I'll go with you. Polaris stood beside him. And us. Clarice and Naughty and Shadowcat and Lauren all stood up. I think you should go back to sleep obediently now. Levi said helplessly. No, although we all know that Weiss, your ability is very strong, but you can't put everything on yourself, and occasionally we can help. Little Naughty said firmly. Yes, our ability is also very strong. Shadowcat agrees with the Little Naughty words very much. Well then, 35 Levi's nodded helplessly. Since they said so, they can only bring a few people. Before Logan and Jin didn't come, Levi's pulled Polaris and then disappeared in place after a space move. Mountain. Please like and subscribe.